Hey there, and welcome to Chapter 4 of Nightfall. In this series, I'm using AI Dungeon to drive forward a crossover fanfiction series, with each chapter diverging off from the previous one, starting a fresh adventure for the AI to write. I then use UberDuck to provide voices for the dialogue, and then I use some other AI sites that are in the description to merge images and songs together to make kind of sort of AI-generated backgrounds and music that will accompany the story. In the previous chapter, AI Dungeon decided all on its own to bring in the rest of the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic cast, since Twilight had already been introduced. But then it seemed to kind of get tired of them and just kind of lost them somewhere in the woods. So I thought for this chapter we could rejoin them, so I wrote up a few sentences for the AI to start off of, kind of reminding it where they were or what their situation was like, and then I just let it run loose with the story from there. So here we go. 5 of the main 6 are huddled in a cave at the base of the mountains. They had been deep in the woods with Bart and Lisa when Lisa disappeared, and then they were attacked by some ponies who had been turned. They'd escaped, but now they were lost and separated from both Lisa and Bart. They had never been in any real danger before, and they're not sure how they'd handle it. They don't have any weapons, their magic is weak, and they don't even have any snacks or anything to keep themselves going. If only Twilight Sparkle were here, they thought, but nobody had seen her for weeks. They tried to stay optimistic.
Hey, guys,
said Fluttershy.
Why don't we sing us a song? It'll make everything better. Yeah!
Pinkie Pie said.
I'll sing! I'm the best singer around!
Fluttershy nodded. She began to sing, and the others joined in.
Go sing a song. Go sing a song. Let's see the voice that one, Ty. Fluttershy, I think you should turn that microphone off.
Verity whispered.
We're supposed to be hiding, remember? Oh, right.
Fluttershy said sheepishly, turning the microphone off. When they finished singing, they began to wait quietly in the darkness.
I can't wait for the day when the Nightmare King comes to Equestria.
Pinkie Pie said, bouncing in place.
I'll give him such a beatdown. I wish he never was.
I know, right?
Applejack said, smiling proudly.
So when's that day gonna be anyhow?
I don't know.
Pinkie said.
I think it's supposed to be really soon.
Just then, the ground began to rumble. The 5 ponies were thrown to the ground, desperately holding on to each other.
What the fucking shit?
Rainbow Dash said, getting up.
What the fuck is going on?
I don't know.
Fluttershy said, looking around.
But I sure hope you're right about the Nightmare King, Pinkie. I'm right about everything.
Pinkie Pie said, followed by a loud rumbling.
I told you Twilight would come through. The Nightmare King's gonna wish he was never born. If he can be born in the first place.
Verity said.
Shut up, Rarity.
Applejack said.
I thought the Nightmare King was supposed to be immortal. So did I.
Verity said.
But you don't need to be immortal to have an extended lifespan. I heard the tales of the Nightmare King long before I actually saw him. You've seen him? Yeah.
Verity said.
He's the one that put a curse on the Cootie Mark Crusaders. Don't you remember? No, because I wasn't actually there when he did it.
Fluttershy said.
I was actually there the day he broke the spell. I was there when he terrorized, converted.
Another rumble.
Converted?
Rainbow Dash said, turning to Fluttershy in confusion.
To what? Never mind.
She said. A third rumble, and a bad one at that, causing the ground to split wide open. They could feel it all the way in the cave.
Oh no.
Applejack whispered.
I think they're coming.
How the fucking hell do you know that?
Rainbow Dash asked. Fluttershy didn't answer. She was just trying to hold on to her consciousness. Fully armored Nightmare Knights breached the crack in the earth, rising out of it. They surrounded the ponies in the cave, standing on top of each other.
In the name of the Nightmare King,
The biggest one said.
you're under arrest.
What?
Rainbow Dash said.
You don't have the stones.
Oh, but the Nightmare King wants you very much alive,
The knight said, grabbing Applejack by her mane.
and we're taking you to him.
You're not taking us anywhere.
Pinkie Pie said.
We're not going quietly. You take one step toward us, and we'll kick your butts. Yeah.
Fluttershy said. The Nightmare Knight put his face into Applejack's, as if to imply that he was about to bite.
Kick his ass, Applejack.
Pinkie said.
Yeah.
Fluttershy added.
Don't just stand there with your mouths opened.
The Nightmare Knight said.
Tackle these ponies.
This was just what they needed. If they got themselves into a fight, there was no telling how bad it could get. They had to do something, and fast.
Now's not the time for that.
They looked up to see Twilight Sparkle standing before them. Surprisingly, she was alone.
I thought you were at a concert with Mordecai.
Applejack said.
What the heck happened?
That's not important.
Twilight said.
What's important is that we stop these Nightmare Knights.
Yeah, let's do that.
Pinkie said.
I don't think it'll be that easy.
Twilight said.
These knights are heavily armored.
Well, what are you waiting for? Then,
Pinkie Pie asked.
a needle.
I have an idea.
Twilight said.
You all trust me? Yes?
Sure.
Applejack said.
Yeah, I trust you, Twilight.
Pinkie said.
No? I mean it.
Twilight said.
If I say run into the woods, you all trust me to show up again so I can start the plan?
What? Yeah, sure.
Pinkie said.
I guess so.
Applejack said.
All right then.
Twilight said.
I'll be back as soon as I can. I'll need to gather a few things. You better hurry back.
Pinky said.
These guys are really getting into position.
I'll do my best.
She said, turning to go.
Hold on. Where are you going?
To gather G.
She said.
Goodbye.
As she left, Fluttershy went to speak, but Applejack held her tongue. She didn't need to say anything, though. The look on her face said it all. They didn't know Gather G was the Nightmare Knights base. Nightmare Knights. There were so many of them, and they were bigger than any of them. Fluttershy couldn't help but be reminded of those horror movies where a single monster could scare the hell out of everyone else, but the monster child was the one who really got everyone's attention. She ran, she hid, she did what she could to avoid getting caught, but the Nightmare Knights were already finding her.
There you are, animal.
One of the knights said. Fluttershy screamed as he picked her up and carried her off. She wouldn't let herself cry, though. She couldn't. She wouldn't give them that satisfaction. She was strong enough to not only get out of this, she had to stay strong. She was placed in a cell. She could barely move. Her limbs were so stiff from fear. She laid on the floor, curling up as she tried not to think about what would come next. That was when Twilight found her.
Flutters, when did you get to gather G?
She asked.
Why didn't you send me a message or something?
I tried, but the Nightmare Knights, they stopped me.
Who the heck are the Nightmare Knights?
You don't know.
I've only just heard of them. I thought everyone knew.
They're after you, aren't they?
Yeah? But why do you ask?
Well, they must have found this note I left for you. They're after you, but I'm guessing you have a plan to get past them.
Yeah? I do.
Twilight said.
As soon as I get ready, we'll be leaving.
Wait, are you going to fight them?
Fluttershy asked.
Fight who?
The Nightmare Knights.
All of them. Yeah? I'll just sneak past them and get to the king, see ya.
And with that, she left. She didn't even wait for Fluttershy to reply. Fluttershy didn't know what to do. She wanted to go with her, but that would be suicide. She didn't have the means to fight off hundreds of Nightmare Knights. She just wanted to go home. There was no hope, was there? She lay on the ground, feeling very tired. Maybe she was going to die here. She wanted to, but she didn't really want to leave her home either. Even now, compared to her previous life, her new one was much better. She'd made friends, true friends, not the fake friends she used to have. They were able to help her through this. They cared for her. Her eyelids grew incredibly heavy. She wondered if she'd be able to sleep, or if the Nightmare Knights would get to her first. In the middle of Fluttershy's sleepy idiom, and the sounds of the Nightmare Knights running and screaming, there was a loud rumbling noise. It grew louder and louder until it was right by her head. She looked up, fearing the worst, but instead she saw a dark, shadowy figure by the light of the moon.
Who's there?
She asked.
Your Risker.
Riskor.
An ogre came into view. He was big and green, a warrior, just like her father.
I've come for you, little one.
The ogre said.
My clan and I've taken an oath to rescue every damsel in distress.
What? What are you doing here? What?
I heard the Nightmare Knights fighting in the woods. I came to see what was happening. I took you.
How many are there of you?
She asked.
Are there other ogres near here?
I'm the only one, but we take our oath seriously. We'll be coming with our horses to help you reach the king.
Thank you, sir.
She said.
Thank you for coming to get me.
No doubt all. Thank you for the thank you too. We'll just be interested. We'll take you. We'll take you with us. And once we get you to the king, can have whatever you want in exchange for your freedom.
At first she was confused by his words, but she understood. Once they reached the king, she would be able to get back home. She didn't know how, but she would be able to do it. He held out his hand to help her up. She took it, and he pulled her up.
Come on, then.
The ogre said.
Wait, where are you going to take me?
She asked.
You'll see when we get there.
They walked to the forest's edge, then hopped on their horses and rode off. Fluttershy looked behind her a few times, but no sign of the Nightmare Knights. She breathed a sigh of relief, and looked ahead to see where the ogre was leading her. They rode for quite a while before they reached a little town. The ogre stopped in front of a structure. It was a tire store, and from the looks of it, it had just closed down.
What? What is this place?
Fluttershy asked.
It's a tire store. We're sunken inside. Well, it's...
Why are we going there?
You trust me, Fluttershy?
Yes?
So much that you will allow Olga to take you right to where you want to go.
Yes.
The ogre hopped off his horse and lifted Fluttershy off with a strong grip. He walked straight into the tire store with Fluttershy following closely behind.
Hello,
He said to a wallaby who was behind the counter.
I'm looking for Wary.
I think I should pay for this.
The counter wallaby said, pointing his finger to his lips.
Don't know why you want.
The ogre walked up to the front counter where Wario was waiting for him.
Wary, we're saved.
He said.
I'm the princess.
Boy,
Wario said.
you big brute.
The ogre handed her over to Wario, who took off immediately.
Come on,
He said, running towards the exit.
through that door, and out the front.
They ran through the door and outside, where a huge crowd waited. There were so many that Fluttershy couldn't see many faces. She was grabbed by several strong hooves, and looked up to see that it was Applejack holding her.
Thanks, AJ.
Wario said.
You guys are damn heroes.
Just doing our duty, ma'am.
The ogre said.
I'm gonna give you every dollar store still as a reward.
But...
You'd rather I gave you something else.
The ogre said, offended.
No, sir. Of course not.
Fluttershy said.
You sure you're all right, sweets?
Applejack asked.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just a little jelly leg.
Fluttershy said.
Go on home then.
And Applejack said.
You've had a lot happen to you tonight.
Fluttershy bid Applejack goodbye and headed home. And that's where we're going to leave things off for now. This one's a bit shorter than the previous chapters, but that ending just kind of felt natural to me. This chapter formally introduces the first real villain of this story, I think, who you'll find out more about in the coming chapters. I don't remember if he comes up in the next one, but pretty soon you'll be seeing a lot more of the Nightmare King. I've actually written ahead a bit, and looking back at this chapter, I feel like it really kind of established a few important things for the lore of Nightfall that'll become more relevant in the future, and I'm excited for you all to see that. For now, though, feel free to drop a like if you enjoyed the story, and if you haven't seen it yet, here's what you missed in the previous chapter.
Hey, Weakling, let's get going. We're getting eaten by Linus. Come on, let's go.
Linus!
Yeah, you know, the biggest fucking mountain lion ever seen. Her name's Ferocious.
Ah, fuck you! I'm not abandoning this spot just because you a chicken!